Because with hijab, the same group that said that we have the right to choose and were trying to argue right to choose over fundamental rights and also rights coming with reasonable restrictions are now actually restricting the right to choose in terms of meat that one can have, that whether it is jhatka, kosher or halal. But beyond that, this is also a hegemonistic grouping which has far-reaching dimensions and implications. So let's try and understand what is the halal certification. This organized racket that we've unearthed here, ladies and gentlemen, here is the CNN News 18 special edition and exclusive. It's demanded by 49 nations under the chairmanship of these two countries, Pakistan and Malaysia. The next aspect, it is mandatory for all items. Now this is ironical. It is mandatory for all items, food, vegetarian and non-veg food, and also non-food. So what has got to be, as far as meat is concerned, or the way an animal has been slaughtered and how the meat has been processed or made or derived, then extends to vegetarian food and non-food too. We'll come to that in detail in just a bit. It's mandatory for all businesses operating in Islamic nations. So the whole drill or the attraction is that if you want quarter of the world market, if you want 49 Islamic nations, then you must get this halal certification. But it's beyond food. It actually extends to steel, cement, pharma, cosmetics, beverages, so many other ambits that one wonders, what is this going on? Confirming brands include the likes of the biggest caterer in the skies, Sky Chef, Haldiram's, Himalaya. Sky Chef has been forced to say that the meat they serve is only halal. So all those who want to have jhatka meat, that is Sikhs, Christians and many others, Khatiks and so many others who do not actually subscribe to halal, they are all forced to eat this meat. So that's the hegemony we'll talk about. Has caused massive job losses too, because it has rendered those who are butchers or those who are processors of jhatka meat or even kosher absolutely jobless, and the abattoirs taken over. Protests have been raised by other communities, Christians, Sikhs, Hindus and many other sections of society who have turned around and said, how can you try and build this hegemony? That's the big question. So there are many layers to it, ladies and gentlemen. This halalonomics is not a small game, and it's not for nothing that Karnataka is looking at a serious legal measure or recourse that they will try and get to try and ensure that this does not happen, this hegemony doesn't prevail. So how clearly, as Ashish Merishi, he's got a whole set of papers with lots of documentation, so you've got all our facts in place. Ashish, first up, 49 countries in the world, chaired by Pakistan and Malaysia, have certain rules for their country. But who is this lot that is operating in our country?
Well, it's an unwritten rule sort of a thing, where there are many organizations. It's not only trusts, but many private companies, private limited companies. We have a list of around 23 of them in our possession. These are the companies which are basically giving certifications. And Jamaat Ulema e Hind Halal Trust is one of the biggest.
So the Jamiat Ulema e Hind Halal Trust is one of the biggest. You have the Global Islamic Sharia Services, or GISS. You have Halal India Private Limited. So they have their own website
also. Like Qazi Mufti Muhammad Kaifatullah Bakwi, he's also doing it.
So there are halal certifiers.
So there are just like QCL Certification Private Limited. They're not authorized by the government of India.
So there is an Islamic Center for Halal Certification, West Bengal, and there is a Qari Jamil Ahmad. So now we've got all the names and the list, and you are saying none of them are government appointees.
They're basically private people.
Are they endorsed by the FSSAI?
None.
No.
Okay. So FSSAI has its own rules and regulations.
Okay, we'll come to the rules and regulations. So these 23 people, roughly, there may be many more.
There may be many more.
So we have been able to.
They are self-appointed.
Or who's giving them the authority?
None.
Nobody.
They will all say that if you have to export, if you have to do trade with organizations or countries which are like 49 countries, Islamic nations, you need a halal certification. And it is not limited only to food or non-vegetarian food. As we were talking about earlier, it's not only about non-vegetarian food. Now, if an organization like Haldiram, Baba Ramdev, Bikaner Wala, anybody who has to send products to these Islamic countries, they need a halal certification. Why? Now, halal, it's basically a process where you slaughter an animal and, basically, you slit the throat and then you leave the animal to die for some time.
It's a very painful death because they believe the form of meat is pure, it's soft and it's edible.
But there
is a huge amount of pain that's caused to the animal.
So, and there is a big chunk who do not believe in this kind of process. They believe in jhatka.
This is about meat. My question to you is, all right, US may say FDA approval, India may say FSSAI approval, Malaysia may have its own authoritative, authentic body which is of the Malaysian government. But if my packet of potato chips is certified by the FSSAI and it's got a green dot, that means it's vegetarian.
Obviously.
There is no ingredient of meat in it. So if it has to be exported to Malaysia, then there has to be a Malaysian authority which will be a Malaysian government appointee which will give the halal certification. Who are these individuals to say that a packet of potato chips certified vegetarian by the government of India needs a halal certificate for a Muslim to consume it?
In my house, I took a picture of nachos which said this is halal certified. Why nachos should have? Now this is the top list of almost 100 companies. You name it and it is there. Now Dawat is basically a company which produces rice. How can rice be not have any shred of halal meat? If somebody is exporting,
why should there be a need to halal certify rice even if it has to be exported to an Islamic nation?
No, this is what the process. It's an unwritten rule sort of a thing.
So even vegetarian food or even non-food has to be halal certified.
So if you go to the website of halalindia.co.in, it says halal based tourism. Halal in logistics. Now, how can logistics have something related to
us? There was recently an article in Kerala that they are going to say that these are Sharia or halal certified Sharia process housing which is not going to be.
So they are basically converting the process of halal, which is supposed to be limited to meat, to lifestyle, basically. So you have a halal cosmetics, you will have halal tourism, medical tourism, you will have halal in logistics, you will have halal cement, and you will have, whatever. Now, the Priya Gold biscuits, how can they have, it's one of the...
It is possible that every nation may decide, an Islamic nation may decide that we need a certification from our government or somebody who's our certifier, that this product, even though you claim is vegetarian, does not have any meat ingredient or any ingredient which is not halal. Okay, that is possible as far as that is one aspect. But are these individuals authorized by anybody? Do they have any authentication or authorization that they are agents of Malaysia? They have been authorized by Pakistan or by Saudi Arabia to give this certification?
No. They have got no authorization.
They have got no authorization.
No authorization. Okay. They are working on their own behest.
Right.
Now,
See, there may be a counter. I'm just playing devil's advocate. There may be a counter argument that a Patanjali or a Haldiram or a Bikaner Wala or a Kevin Care or anybody, because they have packaging which is one single packaging, they may be putting the halal because it's part of the packaging design. So India mein bike, dunya mein bike, kidhar bhi bike, kya farak padta hai? That let's not a big deal. That is also a possibility.
No, it looks to be that, there would be a possibility, but I'm asking a simple question.
Are you trying to say these people, this lobby is now coming out and saying that if you want Muslims to eat your chips even in India, you better put the halal certification there?
No, it's not about that. It's not about products which are being circulated in India. No. It's about exporting these products to 49 countries. Now, there are certain products which are just supposed to be exported, but they're not exported, they come to your house as well.
Correct.
But then, I was giving you an example of nachos.
Correct.
Nachos, I went to my house when I was planning this story. I went to my house. I looked at all the material where my products were lying, where I bought products for my kids. And I saw a few products which had halal certification, which include nachos as well.
Despite having the green dot
on it.
Of
FSSAI. And there is a license issued by FSSAI.
Yeah.
Every product which needs to be sold, it has to, the license is coming from Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. But then, despite that, you need a halal certification. So it seems to be that these 49 countries who are basically looking at halal certification, they do not believe in the Government of India certificate. The Government of India says there is a green dot on it, there is no non-veg in it, then why do you need a halal certification?
Why do you need a halal?